again, I'm in the process of dressing up this thing right here. You got to be real careful, you know. It's don't try to do it all by machine, you know. You have to do some of it toward the end with a piece of sandpaper, and you sand it a little bit, and don't grind down into the grill work. You know, it's a very slow, tedious process. You know, you're not going to be able to do it in 5 seconds. You know, just kind of take your time, especially with this thin veneer on both sides of this thing. I've already knocked out a piece of veneer right here. I'll have to re-glue it. You just got to kind of, you know, you'll reach a point of diminishing returns after a while. Just do your best. Just do your best. You know, right now that feels pretty darn smooth down through there. I don't feel any great big rises of the light color over the top of the edge. That's what you're worried about. You don't, well, you're not worried about it. We don't worry about anything. But it's just kind of take your time, slowly does it. And don't use super coarse. I'm using kind of a medium grit. This is very thin veneer. It won't take much to take it down. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on it. So I'll re-glue this right here. And probably knock off, there's a very, very slight edge right here where it's a little bit thicker on both sides. I'll knock that down a little bit. And then I'll put some glue on there and let it sit for a while. And while that's sitting and drying, and I've got some other glue that I'm gluing up. I found a couple other places where the veneer was not to my liking, needed to be glued down. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go out in the garage and take all those front end parts that I put in the vinegar to the Thunderbird. I'm going to take them out and see what they look like. That in preparation for our next Thunderbird video. You know, I'm kind of running back and forth here. By the way, today is June 2nd. Guess what? Wifey and I have been married for 51 years. We can't go anywhere and do much on our anniversaries anymore. Just like last year, what I'm going to do is cook her a nice steak dinner with all the trimmings and all the fixings and all that stuff. I'm going down to Walmart in a little while, pick up some salad material, give her a nice you know, anniversary dinner. It'll be sometime this afternoon. Something I need to point out here, this iron-on veneer, it has a sheeting of glue on the back. You know, that's why they call it iron-on. The problem is when you begin to grind it down to shape it, the wood goes down, but the glue, if I can get a little focus here, there we go, the glue, you know, doesn't want to grind too easily. And what it does is it gums up your sanding disc or your sanding wheel. So it kind of gums it all up. Well, you know, hey, what do we do about that? Well, we don't do anything about that. It just comes with the territory. We just keep grinding slowly and easily until it finally goes away. Now, part of the process of dressing up your grill work, if you have to do this sort of thing, hopefully you don't, but almost every case you do, especially with the really old radios. See those dark spots right there, and the dark spots in there, and over in there, and everywhere else. A lot of that is your varnish, your old dirt, and lacquer, whatever they had on it. And in our case, a lot of it is dried stripper, and dried stripper with the, you know, the varnish that came off or whatever it was that came off. So what you do in a case like that, as part of the cleanup routine, I still have some more trimming to do down in here and a couple other places, but we're moving it on down there. We're getting down to where I want it. It's a slow process. You must take your time. You must take your time. If you don't have time to do it, don't even fire up your rotary tool, grinder, Dremel, whatever it is, until you do have time. And what we're going to do is cleaning up these edges. It's just a matter of just skimming your you know, your sanding drum along. I'll show you. Just you're not here. You don't want to grind it into the wood. You just want to remove that black stuff. Let me see. Here's a spot right here. I'll see if we can't clean that up. I got it on a little faster speed for this. And it's just a matter of skimming it along, top and bottom, to remove it. That's all it takes. Go a little bit around here. Keep your tool straight up and down as you can. Well, guess what? I just found, by doing that, I moved a piece of veneer down here. Look at there. I'm going to have to glue that right there. That needs to be glued back up. This entire cabinet, you know, is in very good shape, really, but there's a lot of little problems. Let's see if we can't take it off here. Now some of it's going to have to be done by hand. You can't do it all by rotary tool. Just skim it along, that's all. That's about all it takes. Because before it's over, you're going to wind up painting in there anyway. You want to paint that if you can. Just get that old crap off of there. Basically what you're doing is cleaning it, okay? A little bit down here. A little bit along in here. That's all there is to it until you get it all done. Take your time. Well, every time I turn around, I'm running into some more separated veneer, but that's what this whole project right now is about. Making sure that all the bases are covered in that area. I'll probably run into more. There again, guys, you got to be patient. You know, if you rush it and then you stain it and then you finish it and everything, and you find out you got separated veneer that you missed, whether it be on the back or the front, you're not going to be very happy with yourself. I've decided that this little missing veneer here is just too big to ignore. If it were, you know, maybe a third of the size, I'd let it go, but I can't do that. It's just way too large. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to cut it out and put this patch in here. I think I've about got the angle right. We'll go ahead and put a patch in there like that and just let it ride. I mean, I'm not going to... I just can't live with a big old hole like that. Yeah, that's a battle scar of a bygone era, but that's way too big right there. Now the way I did this was to take this. I guess I can't hold a pencil and that at the same time, huh? All I did was take this, lay it down there like that, and trace it out with a pencil. Get it in about the right position, trace it out with a pencil. Then I took this X-Acto knife. This is very thin veneer, remember, it's easy to cut. I probably have to trim a little bit more on up here, but I've cut down to there, and I've cut down to there with the Draco knife. Now let's see if I can get some of that out of there. Nope, I'm going to have to cut a little bit deeper. Alright, let's see if that's good enough. Now you want to be real careful when using these X-Acto knives. You slip with this baby, you've got a gash in your body that's going to bleed and bleed and bleed. Very, very careful. You know, this is a safety warning here on this stuff. Just don't take these sharp blades for granted, okay? That's what we're doing. Okay, it's coming along pretty good. It's a little bit of time. It just wants to be stubborn down in this area, but we'll get it. I'll tell you what, it's probably going to take a couple of hands. As I said, this is a dangerous knife here. We don't want to be cutting ourselves at all with that. I mean, this is terrible. Let me see if I can get that up with both hands. Well, there we go. I think that's going to do it. The patch is in there. It's that iron-on veneer. All I have to do now is hit it with the iron. Should be good to go, and then later trim it off. And of course, in the process of doing this, I discovered I have a long separation here that I hadn't noticed. It was real tight together, and I kind of leaned on it a little bit and it moved, and I said, oh, not again, you know. But you know, now's the time, like I said. And the way you do this is you go ahead and put your glue under one side as far as you can get it. Then you get it up underneath the other. I've already done the other side, but you get it up underneath the other side as well, and you get it as far as you can get it, okay? Then you let it dry and iron it down as usual. Of course, clean it up. Well, that worked out a lot better than I expected. I sanded the top down just to make sure it was nice and smooth with the rest of the veneer. Now normally, let me give you a little bit of caution here for the new folks who don't work on cabinets or who have not yet worked on cabinets. It's okay, you know, what I'm going to have here when I'm done is a dark area that's going to be toned very darkly. Okay, it's going to be really dark. So any patches that I put in, now of course I'll be using pastewood filler to fill in around and stuff like that. So when I spray it with the toner, you won't even see this. And now normally, you know, don't be putting a patch here and a patch there and a patch here and a patch there. After a while, you know, you get so many patches in the radio, there's no way you're going to be able to cover them up, especially if you're staining the radio a light color. This will be stained dark, and then will be toned dark. You won't even see it. So I could put patches everywhere I want here on this particular little piece. Now up here, no. Maybe right here on that grill work and that other place on the grill work, that's about it, okay? Leave the rest. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. At least this is my recommendation to you. You do it any way you want. It's your radio. Now what we have here is I have a few chips off of here. A couple of small chips. Now I can sit here and labor for days trying to get that just right. I'm not going to do that. Same with right here. I'm not going to labor. No, eventually you're going to reach a point where the whole radio is going to look like just a little patchwork quilt. We'll go ahead and stain it. We'll seal it, stain it, put a finish on it, and that'll look really nice anyway. Even though it's got those chips, it'll just be, battle scars of a bygone era. That's the way I look at it. Except for down here, that was way too big. That looks really nice. Now, I might go ahead. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I might go ahead, since this entire thing will be toned dark, I may go ahead and stick a piece of veneer over here, cut the corner off here and put a piece of veneer there also. I may have to do the same thing over here after this dries. We'll see, but I think this is going to turn out a lot better than expected. Right now I got to iron that down. It's ready to go. Well, that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I would have taken wifey downtown for lunch and dinner, but she's not feeling too well today. She has her up days and her down days, and I just kind of play along with it and go along. And just when she's feeling good, we go out, and when she's not feeling good, we don't go out. So I don't question it. The only thing left to do on this is I went ahead and finished this corner over here. That looks real good. And I've got another one I glued on over here. The only thing left really is this here's missing veneer. Now I'm not going to put a tiny little patch in here. I'm thinking about taking a complete square. This is a square, okay? We'll just take a square and iron it on there, and maybe put a matching square over here. The only problem here is I'm going to have to fill this in with something, otherwise it'll be a low spot. It's got to be able to have something there. So this is, I don't know what I'm going to do on that. I don't want to just cut a line across. That's just not cool. Remember, this is going to be the lighter part of the cabinet. We don't want to have a bunch of patchwork quilt going on in these two areas. So that'll be my next chore. And once done, I'll tell you what, boy, we have a couple more things that need gluing, just standard old gluing. This right here is coming apart, just like it was with the old jukebox cabinet. Hey guys, every time I turn around, it was something more. We'll catch up to it though, sooner or later. Well, it is the next day, and we have this all pretty well taken care of on the corner. I'm getting ready to fill in these spots here. This one and this one. And this one also. We're going to have to raise that up before we put those new pieces in, as I stated earlier. So this one is going to, we'll sand them down to where they're fairly level with this. Then we'll cut a piece and then try to shape it as much as we can up to about this point here. And then iron it in. I'll be using that iron-on veneer, which really helps a lot. The two side pieces that have been cut, I sanded down the filler pieces, and then we'll stick this baby in there like that. It'll go in underneath like that and fit real nice. It's going to look really good in there. And then the other one's the same way. Fits very nicely. Sanded this down till it was level. Once you get those filler pieces in, sand them down till they're level. Doesn't matter what it is you're putting veneer on. Now all I have to do now is iron them in place and then do a little trim work on the bottom till I'm satisfied. I'll do that by hand probably, maybe not, I don't know. Depends on how I feel. And then we have to strip this, and then we have to finish stripping our legs. And once we get all that done, we're going to put this baby back up, and tomorrow I think I'll go ahead and clean the inside of the cabinet because it is really nasty in there. It needs to be done. Also, these metal legs on here, what they are is I'll show you what they are. I took one of them out. I don't like them. They're going to go. They're real rusty. Let me get it up here where you can see it. They're real rusty. And I'm going to go down to Lowe's and see if they got something that's close, maybe a brass kind of thing. Even if that's a very large nail. Is exactly what it is. The nail is very large compared to what we'll get today, but I might be able to just glue it in. But these babies are coming out. I'm not gonna go with those. Well, that looks pretty darn good, I think. I think that's going to be perfect. All laid down good. Once we stain her, it's going to look terrific. I got it all smoothed up the way I want around the corners. It's not exactly 1,000,000% perfect, but it sure looks better than it did. Well, Well, that's about it as far as the stripping goes. The legs are now stripped. I've got those button things out of there. I took those out. This has all been repaired and stripped down. I still have to put the pastewood filler in, and we'll work this over with the pastewood filler later on. So that pretty much wraps up the stripping. I may have to go over it one more time, you know, put a little dab of stripping here, a little dab of stripping there. I'll take a very, very close eyeball look at it and make that determination later. However, there's still one more thing I want to cover before closing out this video. Let's go back to these areas that were worn out that I spoke of last time in the last video. I said that, you know, it looked like a place where the electrical cord had worn and somebody took a knife and kind of smoothed them down. They did it there and they did it here where the cable goes through. And it's on both sides. And I got looking around even further. Guess what? There's one way up here too. Almost identical to the others. Okay? Well, you know, Darrin Altieri and I, we pretty much came up with the electrical cord scrape out, you know, idea together. I mean, once he mentioned it, I said, well, man, I know exactly what that's all about. But then later on, our good subscriber Ron C chimed in, and let me tell you what he wrote. Now here's what Ron wrote. He said he thought we were right about the cord and someone shaving the edges, or it could be that Dickel was sharpening his teeth on there. That would be Dickel a Flockett, old Buzz 1151's buddy up there in Oregon. He said he said the slot in there was probably not original, and I do not recall seeing any other old radios with that slot. And he said he didn't think they had enough experience in 1931 about cutting a slot in the wood. That's amazing, that statement. Of course, we won't even talk about the Egyptians and the giant pyramids, will we? They just didn't have enough sense to do that. All right, then he says his 1931 Crosley clock radio did not have this slot. I think someone had a costly repair at some point and exposed wires and took matters into their own hands, which, you know, could have been. Oh, he says, I just don't see speaker wires and power in the same channel. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And of course, my answer to him was, that was my answer to Ron. And I'm going to tell you why. He's probably wondering why himself. The reason I answered Ron C that way was because he was dead wrong. Well, guess what? So was I. I was dead wrong, and so was our good subscriber, Darrin Altieri, or Altieri. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. All three of us were wrong. Dead wrong. We are the three wrongeteers. I'm going to tell you, now we know for sure. We know for absolutely 100% for sure why this thing is beveled like this and like this. Now the slot, that slot was put in there at the factory, I believe. I mean, that's a factory cut all the way. But it doesn't matter either way. We're talking about this right here. So what caused this and this? I'm going to show you. You ready? That's right. It was a mouse. And I'll tell you why the mouse chewed on this wood. You know, mouse teeth you saw in the photograph, there's two at the front that come down, and up at the top rather, they come down. There's two at the bottom that go up. Those teeth never stop growing. They never stop growing throughout the mouse's life. They have to, and if they keep growing, they won't be able to eat. So they have to gnaw on something to constantly reduce the length of the teeth. That's why they gnawed on this wood. If they hadn't gnawed on here, they'd have gnawed on something else. So where does that? Now that resets everything. We now know it was a mouse. We now know why they did it, or why probably one mouse did it all, the biggest of the bunch, maybe, I don't know. So where does that leave us? Since I gave Darrin Altieri all the credit last time for coming up with the idea. He was wrong. I was wrong for agreeing with him. And of course, Ron, his ideas kind of suck a lot. So Matter of fact, he has this T-shirt that says his ideas don't suck, but I don't know about that, you know. So where does that leave us? I'll tell you where it leaves us. Johnny Draco. Our good subscriber Johnny Draco was the first one to mention that this was mice teeth bites. Now look at that. You know, look at the, see, there's where the teeth went through. They went through here and here and here. No, with the top teeth. And then over here, same thing. No, down through with the other teeth. Same thing. So that's how that came about. Now, Johnny Draco, you are the one who gets full credit for discovering what this is. Now, later on, KA9SZX, he chimed in. That's Mark up there in Illinois. He chimed in and said he agrees, or he said that he thinks it was mouse chewing and gnawing also. But, you know, he was a little bit short. Old Johnny Draco beat him to the punch, but they were both right. And then, of course, Rebel 9668, old Gary said that he agreed with Johnny Draco. So those are the three guys that knew what was going on, with Johnny Draco getting 100% of the credit. The three wrongeteers, better luck next time, huh? Well, that's it for now. We'll go ahead and end this. Next time I want to clean up the inside of the cabinet, you know, with cleaning. It's really funky, dirty. You can see this is a lot of dirt down here. Some of it came about as a result of that flood, like I said. I had a lot of mud washing around inside this cabinet. But we're going to give it a good washing and then a good sealing. And then I'm not sure what we'll do after that. I'm going to maybe re-inspect this and do a little sanding here and there. But we're getting to the point now. We're getting on down to the wire where we can go ahead and select a stain for the cabinet and what kind of a scheme we're going to do. What kind of a staining scheme we're going to do. Do we want this dark? Do we want that light? Or how light do we want to go? Do we want to go all in one color? I'll have several that I can put up next time in the video for all of us to kind of look at. We can mix and match and maybe come up with something good. I want your inputs. I always like inputs. I may take all of them. I may take none of them. I may take some of them. I may only take one of them. So, but I still like your inputs because it triggers my thinking, maybe sometimes in a completely different direction. So we'll end this right here. Congratulations to Johnny Draco on the mouse beat. The man knows his mice. Okay? Until next time, this is John.